Excellent. Good morning, everybody. I'm Sadiq Hussain. I'm the Chief Executive at London Legacy Development Corporation, and I welcome you here today at the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park. You're sitting in Plexel, which is one of our innovation centres and a co-working space run as part of Here East. I wanted to just say a quick thank you to Andrew Rowan, the Chief Executive, because they're hosting the space here for us today. But yeah, absolutely delighted to be here and delighted to see you all. Before I get going, I just need to do a few housekeeping things, so in case we have any emergencies. So if you need first aid at all, please go back to the reception at the front. There is no fire alarm here today, so if there is a fire alarm, it will be a real one. So please, could you make your way to the two exits? It's one over there, just familiarise yourselves, and there's one here. This one will take you to the front courtyard, and this one will take you to the back canal side. So please follow those, and there will be fire marshals and wardens around who can direct you. Toilets are available in two locations. So you've got toilets at the front by reception, and you've got toilets just behind here on the stage. You can walk around the corner. If people need a quiet space for prayer and reflection, there is a prayer pod available as well. There will be photography taking place today throughout the event, and it will be live streamed as well with live captions running throughout. And if you need any assistance or any questions, please, again, there are a number of staff around, and you can always go over to the front desk again as well. So, we are delighted to be hosting this event at Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park, and specifically, as I said, at Plexel here. And we are delighted because one of the things that we do here is about making sure that we are making ourselves locally relevant, and even our catering today is provided by the Tastery, a fantastic local company based in Hackney Wick, an example of supporting local enterprise. The entertainment today will be come from Academy Breaking Convention, also based here in the park over at Sadler's Wells East and part of East Bank Cultural Quarter. So we're here today to celebrate the launch of the Inclusive Talent Strategy, a key step ensuring London remains a city where opportunity is open to everyone. We're really proud to welcome you here at Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park, a place that truly embodies the spirit of the Inclusive Talent Strategy. We were really pleased to host today's launch because this park, for us, represents what the strategy is all about: inclusion, opportunity, and innovation. Since reopening after the 2012 Games, the park has become home to many of London's key growth sectors, from experience economy, construction, creative industries to frontier innovation. It's also a place that promotes good work. Every employer operating here, large or small, must meet the London living wage requirement. That principle, that work is good and work should be, that good work is fair, is absolutely right, is built into the foundations of this place. We've built a strong track record of working with employers across the sector to co-design and co-commission skills and training programs. These range from technical skills and apprenticeships to soft skills development and London living wage paid internships. But like the strategy we're celebrating today, we know that simply creating good jobs isn't enough. We need inspiring young minds, and we need to inspire them early, working closely with teachers, schools and careers advisors to show Londoners what's possible. Here on the park, every stage of the career pathway is represented, and it's powered by collaboration between employers, partners, local boroughs, the GLA and ourselves. Together, we've invested heavily in inclusive growth assets on the park, from Build East, the Mayor's flagship Green Skills Construction Centre, to the Good Growth Hub, helping diverse talent from East London across our 4 London boroughs, accessing opportunities in the creative and cultural sectors. Assets like these are already transforming lives. Our ambition now is to scale up these efforts, to reach more people and more employees, and drive growth across East London and London more widely. That's why we're here, and we're so delighted that our ambitions align closely with the Mayor's priorities in the Inclusive Talent Strategy. Together, we can go even further, deliver better outcomes for every Londoner, and ensuring that every community can share in London's success. That shared ambition brings us perfectly to why we're here today, the launch of the Inclusive Talent Strategy. The London Growth Plan, launched earlier this year, is clear that London cannot achieve its full growth potential until all Londoners are achieving their potential. In response, the Inclusive Talent Strategy has been developed by the Mayor of London and London councils. It focuses on 3 key sectors vital to London's growth and diversity: construction, creative industries and life sciences. The strategy is built around 3 central pillars, putting employers at the very heart of inclusive growth, ensuring Londoners can access the right training and career paths for them, and tackling the barriers that stop talent from staying and thriving. This is all about collaboration across sectors, boroughs and communities. So it's wonderful to see such a diverse audience today, representing business, health, skills, local government and beyond. So, to open our discussion, we're going to hear from one of the key players in developing the Inclusive Talent Strategy, someone bringing an important local government perspective to this work. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Councillor Peter Mason, leader of Ealing Borough Council.
Thank you and good morning, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to be with us here today. When the Mayor and London councils launched the London Growth Plan back in February, we made a promise to Londoners. A promise that we would drive a truly economic, inclusive growth for our city. That every Londoner would have the opportunity to contribute to and benefit from growth in our city. And that nobody would be left behind or written off in our mission to build London's economy. The strategy that we're launching today is a crucial step in delivering that commitment. Currently, too many Londoners are denied the opportunity to play their part in our ambitions for growth. There are 250,000 economically inactive people in the capital who want a job, but face the barriers to work or don't have the skills that they need to get on. The labourer, who, having exhausted their bones building our city, now needs a less physically demanding way of making a living later in life. The carer, who, having focused on supporting their family, either in the very first or the very last years of their lives, who now needs a flexible work pattern and a forgiving manager. The settled refugee, who, having fled war or persecution, wants desperately to rebuild their life and might need their vocational skills validated or learn new ones. The care leaver, who, having been dealt with one of the toughest starts in life through no fault of their own, needs their family firm, all of us, to smash down doors and never give up on them. The Londoner with physical disability, whose mind is just as powerful, just as creative, just as active, just as logical as any other, who simply needs some easy enough adaptations and adjustments from an employer to deploy that mind to what it was born for. And the Londoner with neurodiversity, whose cognition might work a little differently from the rest of us, but who needs us to think and behave a little differently to create the space and the understanding for their brilliance to shine. It's our duty to Londoners, collectively, to change their futures. And that's not a necessary condition for success only, it's also a moral obligation. Because work isn't simply just about having a job. It's not about just not being unemployed, performing an economic function. Work is about having pride. It's about having identity. It's about having purpose. Pride that comes from knowing that you've achieved a job well done. Identity in possessing a skill, a craft, a trade. Purpose in knowing that your efforts have made a difference to your workplace, your colleagues, your customers, but most importantly for your family. London's economy cannot fulfil its full potential until all Londoners are fulfilling theirs. And despite this, time and again, we hear from businesses and employers who are unable to find the talent that they need to succeed, unable to recruit the right people with the right skills so that they can grow and scale. Yet in all corners of our city, there are Londoners desperate for the chance to get into a good quality, well-paid job that allows them to live a happier, healthier, and more prosperous life. We've become way too accustomed in London with incredible opportunities sitting alongside underutilised talent. And it is holding us back as a city. And this is our chance to fix it. Over the last 9 months, the GLA and London councils have brought together a diverse range of voices from across the London system to shape the development of our inclusive talent strategy, all of you. We've drawn on expertise from our boroughs and sub-regional partnerships, on further and higher education sectors, on our health partners, community organisations, trade unions, and importantly, our employers and businesses. Recognising that we all have a part to play in transforming our skills and employment system and ensuring the world of work in London is fairer, more inclusive and more accessible. And as boroughs, we have a proud track record of investing in employment support services and delivering them in a way which reflects the needs of our local communities. And as placemakers and as place shapers, we know the importance of working with local employers and skills providers to create new opportunities. That local knowledge and expertise is vital for ensuring that this strategy works for every part of our capital city. A city that is celebrated the world over for its diversity, not just in terms of our incredible people, but also our incredible local economies too. It's why London Councils has been leading this work jointly with the GLA, showing once again that when we collaborate and work together, we can achieve great things for our city. Our mission is to make sure every Londoner can access the skills and employment opportunities they need to fulfil their potential and thrive, and ensure businesses in London have the access to the talent that they need to grow. And at the heart of this will be an approach which enables employers to genuinely shape the direction of our skills and employment system, working in partnership with providers to ensure that we are responsive to the needs of our businesses and can adapt and grow into the new industries of life sciences, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, bioengineering. For ordinary Londoners, we'll make it easier to find the training and career path that is right for them, with greater integration between our skills, employment, health and other support services, so that whichever part of the system you start off in, you'll be supported and guided on a pathway that works for you. And a more joined-up approach will be better for all Londoners, and particularly those who face the biggest barriers to work. By working with the NHS, we will create a more integrated approach to health and employment and support Londoners and ensure nobody is written off or left behind. And for young people who might not have figured out just yet what it is that they want to do with their lives and who struggle to navigate the complex landscape of skills and employment, we'll build a system that is better equipped to support the 1 in 10 Londoners who are currently unemployed. So, by strengthening the progression pathways in apprenticeships, university, broadening skills provision to include new and growing frontier sectors, young people will feel that investing in their education and training is a less risky detour from paid employment and more like an investment in their own futures. And we'll work to tackle the wider structural barriers too, that are stopping people from entering and staying in employment. Those issues that are much broader than our current approach to employment and skills allows for. The lack of affordable and secure housing, the growing cost of childcare, and a transport system that still makes it too expensive and too difficult for some Londoners to access opportunities for work in all parts of our city. And we know that we cannot fix them on our own. London boroughs and the Mayor of London have worked hard in recent years to accelerate the delivery of new homes, ensuring transport remains accessible and affordable to ordinary Londoners of all ages, and expanding childcare provision, breakfast clubs, school and holiday activities. Underpinning all of this work will be a focus on creativity and innovation, learning from the great work that is happening in all parts of the system so that we can scale and replicate across the capital, and testing new approaches just as we are doing with our Get Britain Working trailblazers. Finally, this is a huge opportunity in front of us. An opportunity to transform our skills and employment system together so that every Londoner, no matter who they are or where they live, has the chance to build a successful career, to enjoy a great quality of life, full of pride, identity and purpose. So great to be here with so many of you who've taken part in this process, and with particular thanks to the teams at London Councils and the GLA, and of course to the Deputy Mayor Howard Dorber. But it gives me incredible pleasure to welcome to the stage Sadiq Khan, a Mayor of London who has put employment and skills at the heart of his agenda for our city. Sadiq Khan, ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Well, thank you, Peter, for that fantastic speech. Peter's travelled from the most west part of London, Ealing, to be the eastern part of London, which shows his commitment and the joys of the Elizabeth line. Also, can I thank Shazia for your great speech as well. Look, it's great to be here this morning. I know that today's real highlight is the hip-hop performance later. I've just met them from the Hip Hop Academy at Sadler's Wells. Before I start, let me just answer the question that I know is on the lips of all my staff. No, I won't be taking part. You can relax, I'm not going to embarrass you. I can forgive them, though, for wondering whether I would, because last week we saw sumo wrestlers in kimonos on Lime bikes outside the Royal Albert Hall. Proof, if anyone needed it, that absolutely anything is possible in London. You know, I love coming to this part of our great city. Everything feels like it's on the up. You've got Westfield, Abervoyage, the brand new V&A storehouse. Unfortunately, there's always an exception to the rule. Of course, I mean West Ham Football Club. Look, there's a couple of West Ham fans here, I can tell. If you've lived here long enough, you might remember a local landmark. Before the Olympic Stadium, before Westfield, there was a giant pile of fridges. Fridge Mountain, as it was called, was the biggest in Europe, towering 20 feet in the air. It was a symbol of how places like this, places full of potential, had been left out of London's success story. Today, though, it's nowhere to be seen. On the site where it once stood, you'll find the East Bank, home of leading universities and cultural heavyweights like Sadler's Wells and the V&A. The East Bank is a symbol that tells a different story of London's ability to reimagine, reinvent, and rebuild, so that a once forgotten part of the capital could, in a decade or so, become its creative core. For some Londoners, though, that narrative doesn't feel quite right. Imagine you finished school back then and things hadn't worked out. You want to get a good job. Without the right qualifications, though, it's almost impossible. Maybe you fall into insecure work with paychecks that just enough to get by on, but never enough to get on. Or perhaps you finish training for a career on the factory floor, but as technology transforms our city's economy, it gets harder and harder to find one. The blank space on your CV grows bigger, and you just can't get a foot back on the ladder. Your life feels like it's standing still, while London keeps marching forward without you. The industries creating jobs don't seem to need people with your skills. And all the adverts ask for experience you don't have or know how to get. Fridge Mountain might be a distant memory, but your own prospects aren't much better than they were back then. Now look around the room today, and this story might feel hard to imagine. London is the best place on earth for top talent. And in the last 9 years, policies from City Hall have transformed lives for people who had been left out of our city's success story. We've provided free training for anyone aged 19 and over who's unemployed or on a low income or has limited formal education. We've delivered adult skills programs for more than 1 million Londoners. And we've supported a 7-fold increase in the number of employers paying the London living wage. But as AI and automation upend the world of work, there is a real risk that stories like the one I mentioned earlier could become much more common. A risk that our city could be split into two worlds. In one, the highly skilled, wealthier workers powering economic growth. In the other, the poorly paid, precarious Londoners who have been left behind. You know, the sheer speed of change means sticking to the status quo simply isn't an option. We need a radical rethink. And in the London Growth Plan, we have just that. Designed, as you've heard, with London boroughs, businesses, trade unions, universities, ecologies, and many others. It sets out a vision for a truly inclusive economy, an economy where every Londoner can reap the rewards of growth. The inclusive talent strategy we've announced today marks a massive step towards delivering that vision as we overhaul our skills system to prepare every Londoner for success in the decades ahead. First, we'll put employers in the driving seat by empowering them to shape the future of skills provision. We'll ensure Londoners are ready to work in our fastest growing sectors, whether they're running a vaccine lab or designing special effects for blockbuster films. Second, we'll integrate our skills, employment, health and careers services through the Get London Working Plan, offering better support for Londoners who've been excluded from our economy for too long. And third, we'll tear down the barriers to staying in work once you've found it, ensuring every Londoner has the decent pay and conditions they deserve while maintaining our commitment to protecting the poorest in our society. Because in a city where only the wealthiest workers can afford to live isn't just economically unsustainable, it's morally unacceptable. Closing the skills gap is a generational challenge. The strategy we've set out today is a start, but we can and must go further. That's why today I'm announcing £147 million in new funding that is targeted at the skills employers have told us they're looking for. With this support, we can expand and extend the skills boot camps that have already transformed the lives of thousands of Londoners, preparing them to pursue fulfilling careers in industries like social care and cybersecurity, where skills shortages are holding our businesses back. But we can deliver a whole host of new projects too. The Talent Pathways Fund will support more than 20,000 unemployed and low-paid Londoners every year, working with employers to help them access the vocational skills they need to get good jobs. And a talent brokerage service will connect hundreds of diverse Londoners with vacancies in growth sectors, helping firms find the talent they need to prosper and ensuring that in a global city like ours, your background is never a barrier to success. Look, let me end by saying this. The truth is that London will never achieve its true potential unless every Londoner can achieve theirs. And our businesses will not succeed unless we have enough Londoners with the skills that companies in our city need to succeed. What London needs is good growth. Growth that doesn't divide our city into two worlds, but unites it. Growth that gives employers the confidence they need to invest here and Londoners an equal stake in the city's success. Because no one should have to walk through the place they grew up looking back on their life and wondering why they were denied a chance to succeed. I want Londoners to feel optimistic about the opportunities ahead, proud of their talents and confident that if they work hard with a helping hand, they can achieve anything here. That's the London promise. You work hard, you get a helping hand, and you can achieve anything. And for me, it's personal. At school in South London, my brother never quite knew what he wanted from the future. It wasn't until he started training as a motor mechanic that he found his calling, and he never looked back. I don't feel his story is unique because I know there are millions of Londoners just like my brother, and millions who, with the right support, could one day say the same. This plan is for them. For the Londoners who deserve a chance at a better life, and the dedicated employers, teachers, mentors, and advisors determined to help them grasp it. Together, we will build a city where no Londoner is left behind. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the Mayor of London and Peter Mason for those remarks. Really, really lovely to hear those things. Now, in order to give us a bit of a deeper understanding of the strategy, we've got a video that we're going to play to you. So let's take a look at that now.
I'm Howard Dauber, I'm Deputy Mayor of London for Business and Growth, which includes responsibility for skills. The Inclusive Talent Strategy is a key early step in delivering the ambitions of our London Growth Plan, published by the Mayor of London and London Councils in February 2025. We're helping to create 150,000 new jobs for London by 2028, while ensuring that all Londoners can benefit from the growth and productivity we want to see. Good jobs and skills drive inclusive growth, but our skills and employment system is currently too fragmented and can be difficult to navigate. We need to work collaboratively to build a more integrated system which works better for employers and for Londoners and learners.
So whether it's been through post-16 education, whether it's the role that boroughs play in supporting modern apprenticeships, whether it's the adult skills programmes that are currently being run right across London, or indeed the work around supporting those at the fringes of employment, particularly those with health, mental and physical health conditions back into employment, boroughs have been in this game for an awful long time and understand some of the challenges, but also many of the opportunities. And the talent strategy is about making sure that we can unblock many of the barriers to get that moving.
In London, our people are our greatest resource. And often what we find is that access to opportunity isn't equal to everyone. And so what I hope and believe the Inclusive Talent Strategy will do is start to remove those barriers.
We know that people who are in work are much healthier than people who aren't in work. And we want to support as many people into good work as we possibly can, because that makes them in better health. It's better for their families, it's better for their communities, it's better for the city, because we really want London to thrive as a city.
Across London, we are coming together to integrate services for Londoners, bringing together employment, skills and health to think about what's already going on across our city. We have got 3 economic inactivity trailblazers and we've got 2 youth trailblazers. So working and collaborating as one system is enabling Londoners to fulfil their potential.
First of all, we'll put employers in the driving seat of London's skills and employment system, unlocking the opportunity of inclusive growth and delivering the skills that employers need to grow the economy. Employers will be able to shape training in London, making sure it responds directly to their immediate needs. We're building a more integrated skills system too to help Londoners find the right path to training and employment, to benefit from all the growth and to learn the skills that they need for the jobs of the future. And finally, we're tackling the barriers to retaining talent in London, from fair pay and employment rights to supporting housing and childcare.
Training providers, particularly independent training providers, work really closely with employers to work through their workforce development strategies and people development plans. And so we're looking at how we help them build their new talent pipelines into their organisation.
Our higher education community are already working in partnership with employers and other partners in the city to really unlock the skills and talent amongst Londoners. So you're already seeing, for instance, universities working very closely with the NHS in the health space and community groups, and also on the green skills agenda, linking up industry and graduates.
Everyone I know has faced an inner challenge pretty much. Neurodivergence isn't talked about enough. the world around us doesn't really cater to that. In my opinion, when it comes to employers and professionals, they have to think about longevity when catering to students.
London boroughs are absolutely fundamental in this because we know our local areas. We know what the opportunities are, we know what the gaps are. Because we've got this sort of granular knowledge of our patch, we can use that knowledge to aid Londoners to find work, to aid businesses to provide work. Is that sort of detailed local knowledge which is really key. And we work cross-borough, so we work with our neighbours and our sub-regional partnerships.
London colleges play a key role in supporting the inclusive talent strategy by working in close partnership with employers, developing training, ensuring that we're meeting the skills that employers need to help drive growth for our local economies. It's looking at what employers need, making sure that we're developing that pipeline of talent and co-designing programs and training.
The thing we've really learned in the NHS over the last 5 or 10 years is that we can't do this by ourselves, and the power of working through the partnerships that we have through the GLA, through local authorities and through other partners in London have really unlocked incredible opportunities for Londoners to come and work in healthcare.
Creativity as a skill is all about innovation, and you cannot possibly innovate unless you've got different people with different experience, different skills, different cultures, different backgrounds coming together to find solutions to problems. Being part of the inclusive talent strategy is absolutely critical to our future success.
This is London's plan.
So thank you to everyone that's contributed to that video, but also just really delighting to see such collaboration from the public, private and community sectors, and really for the people of our city. It would be a shame to bring you to the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park and not show you a little bit of what happens here. So I am delighted to be introducing to you the Academy Break-In Convention, who offer professional pathways for emerging artists and entrepreneurs working in the creative industries with a focus on hip-hop culture. And these are young people from across all our 4 East London boroughs, but also from across London as well. So I'm delighted to introduce to you on stage Sam Francis, Head of Academy Break-In Convention over at Sadler's Wells. Sam, if you'd like to come forward.
Hello. Hello. I'm not sure if my eye is on. Nice to see everyone. Thank you so much for the round of applause. I recognise quite a few faces. So, as you can imagine, we're so excited. This is the first cohort of Academy Break-In Convention. So please give them a round of applause. Thank you so much. We are proud to be based here at the Olympic Park on the East Bank. We are based at Sadler's Wells East. If you haven't seen how beautiful our space is, please come and see us. This is the first academy really looking at hip-hop culture. We're not just looking at the dance strand. We are looking at DJing, graffiti, social dance, locking, popping, breaking, all of the elements. And we just want young people to come to us to be able to express themselves using the tools of hip-hop. So that what we're going to you today is only a segment of what they did. This lot have only been with us for 6 weeks, just to remind you, just 6 weeks. So they're going to hype up the place. Don't be shy. If you dance, dance. If you want to shout, shout, yeah? The more you give them, is the more that they'll give back. Please talk to us afterwards. We want the world to know about what we're doing. We have some amazing specialists. We're working in conjunction with BCE, who's another college, but we're working in conjunction. So collaboration for us is the key. Collaboration for all of us is the key. Our young people are the key. So without further ado, I'd like to bring Academy Break-In Convention on stage. Please give me a round of applause.
What?
Yeah, oh! Yeah, oh! Yeah, oh! Where we from?
Straight out of London.
Young boy, fresh out of Lewisham. Spitting bars, but no, I'm not chewing them. I'm from the south, but I'm never out. These other MCs so dry like a drought.
So dry.
I'm on the mic, yeah, I'm on the grind. These other MCs need to stay in line. Cause I might cook ya, and I might roast ya. Yeah, and I already told ya. Yeah, when I come through, it's not just me, it's Cockneys with attitude. What? Straight out of London.
What?
Straight out of London.
Tell them again.
Straight out of London.
Yeah, we move with chest.
Chest.
And we never get arrested.
No rest.
And our style so fresh.
So fresh.
Gonna put you to the test.
To the test.
The best part is West.
Lies.
Don't get me vexed. You better say less.
Say less.
Cause I move with finesse.
Finesse.
We got the London eye. You can see the sky.
Sky.
I can't get too high.
High.
Big Ben's ticking time.
Ticking time.
I look so fly.
Look so fly.
See how my crepes
They shine.
Right here we got Cockneys of attitude.
What? Cockneys of attitude. What? Cockneys of attitude. Straight out of London.
It's a brother that's too sneaky undercover. Let me know what really thinks he's tougher. Dangerous, Highbury, raising hell. And I use rap to tell the tale. See, I'm from the op, look, I don't see no ops. I got the quorum, but still get respect from the cops. 16, next gen, soon it's my time. Your girl like the way I look, and she like the way I rhyme. She wanna chat. Don't be shy, not bad, but bad beats, still say hi. Mike Tyson, catch up, 1, 2, 3. Go on Arsenal, not on about football teams. Guys know my name. Yeah, it's Artie, the best artist. Soon catch me on TV. Ruthless, see me trekking FBK, but the vibes at N1, Hodgson Holloway. Feel a little gust of wind from the trains. It's getting late, so mum's being a pain. Aspiring to buy a big Lambo with a spoiler. That one looking there, yeah, you know I'm a spoiler. This is the autobiography of RT. And don't you ever mess with me, cause I'm a wordsmith. You'll get cooked by an apprentice of Woodsy. Word to my mumsy.
Straight out of London. What? Straight out of London. What? Straight out of London. Where we from? Straight out of London. What? Out of London.
Serious swagger. Is the mic even on?
What?
2011.
So let's talk.
2010 hip hop. Dirty beat straight to your head top. Loud bass spinning, make your bed drop. Buzz that, headshot. They ask who's that on a rhythm. I got cold bars like a prison. Only It's a grime MC.
What?
We got Skepta and JME.
What?
Miss Shorty Temper T got songs like Shut Down and That's Not Me.
What?
Only came in 2003. You guys rapping new stuff in East like Wiley, Kano and Izzy. Now we got Power Release, Daniel Lee. Loose in the game and I rap so fast. I'm a jewelry and the mic is burning. Today's a school day. Grime you're learning. Tables turning. Lot to say, you man, I'm gonna make me pee.
What?
But for now, I'ma teach grime today. Representing my boy, better
No
not T.
Oh, bo, bo, bo.
Woo! But. Come on. Pow! 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 Selector! Pow! VMB. Pow! I'm spitting with RT. Pow! Representing ABC. Pow! Big up my boy John DD. Yeah, it's the boy RMT. Pow! You know my man, the bit ABC. Pow! Big up John ZD. Pow! The next gen in the world is 16.
Thank you. I imagine that everyone's energy's gone up a little bit. Mine certainly has. Absolutely brilliant, and so brilliant to see our local talent on stage. Okay, so we're now going to move on to the next part of today's programme, where we get a deeper exploration of the inclusive talent strategy and what it means across the wider skills sector. In this session, we'll hear perspectives from key representatives spanning health, business, further education, young Londoners and local government, each bringing valuable insight into the work that we're doing. Apologies, I haven't got my lectern, so it's a little harder. But before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge Elevate, based here at Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park and across our 4 neighbouring boroughs. Elevate is a youth-led platform for change. They play a central role in championing young Londoners, influencing young policy and supporting pathways into education, skills and employment, helping to ensure that inclusion and opportunity remain at the heart of everything we do. If it wasn't for Elevate, we wouldn't be having some of the curating that goes on in some of our cultural institutions. If it wasn't for Elevate, we wouldn't be working with and ensuring that some of the workforce here is reflected of our local community. So they are a real credit to us here at QEOP, but also as representatives of young people. So it's a pleasure for me to introduce our panel co-chairs, Lola Martins-Raffet, and who is the chair, of Elevate Youth Board and governance lead at Badu CIC, and Emmanuel Lawal, who's member of, who's a member of Elevate Youth Board and co-founder and CEO of Into the Open, an AI native content intelligent platform for communications marketing agency. So I'll now hand over to Lola and Emmanuel, and they will do the next section for you. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction, Shazia. And thank you to Academy Breaking Convention for that amazing performance. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and it's a very tough act to follow, but we'll try. So I'd love to now welcome onto the stage Howard Dorber, who's our Deputy Mayor for Business and Growth.
I would now like to invite onto the stage Alison Griffin, Chief Executive of London Councils.
A warm welcome to Lizzie Smith, Regional Director of Workforce Education and Training at NHS in London.
I would now like to invite onto the stage Deepa Ganguly, OBE, Principal and CEO of Working Men's College in Camden.
And finally, last but not least, Amy Smith, Global Director of Recruitment and Outreach at London Frame Store.
Thank you for all being here. So we'll start with a few guided questions for our panel, and then we'll open up to a wider panel discussion for around 45 minutes. But before we begin, would you all like to take the opportunity to just quickly introduce yourselves?
Hello, I'm Howard Dorber. I'm Deputy Mayor of London for Business and Growth, which also includes skills. You're pleased to know I'm not going to be breakdancing today because we haven't had this stage tested for the stress. But I might be persuaded to do some indie dancing later.
Really? Well, how do we beat that? Hey, so hi everyone, I'm Ali Griffin. I'm the Chief Executive of London Councils, which is the collective of the 32 London boroughs and the City of London.
Hi everyone, I'm Lizzie Smith. I work for the NHS. I'm Director of People for NHS England in the London region. I'm the NHS London Anchor Programme Leader, and I'm co-chair of the London Anchor Institutions Network for the GLA.
Good morning, everyone. Deepa Ganguly, Principal and CEO of the Working Men's College, one of the 5 Institute for Adult Learnings in London. And we are the oldest adult provider in the country. We celebrated 171 years this year. And so my college provides for adults 19 to 109 years old.
And good morning, everyone. My name's Amy Smith, and I'm the Global Director of Recruitment and Outreach at Frame Store. Frame Store is a visual effects company. We make computer graphics for the Harry Potter films, Marvel films, things like that, so all things you've seen. And not forgetting Paddington, the lovely Paddington. And I am also in my home patch here because we are also the cornerstone chair for the Careers Hub for East London.
Thank you. All right, so getting straight into it. Placing employers at the centre of driving inclusive growth is instrumental to London's future success, ensuring that skills provision meets the needs of our growth sectors and opens up opportunity for all. So my first question is to Howard. Howard, the strategy sets out an ambition for more employer-led skills system. How do you see employers playing a stronger role in shaping and commissioning provision across London?
Wow, so that's at the core of the strategy that we're publishing today. Before I do that, I'm going to shout out a couple of people who haven't been mentioned yet in the audience who deserve a lot of praise for what they've done to help bring this together. First of all, the whole team at London Councils, the policy team there, who've been absolutely brilliant and instrumental in this. My team, Anne-Marie and Io, from the skills team at the GLA, who've really done all the work writing it. So it's their words in the document that you've got. Florent in my team, who did a lot of work on helping pull this together. And then also Bloomberg. Actually, I've got to mention Bloomberg, and not a lot of people know this. Mike Bloomberg, who used to be the mayor of New York, actually set up a charitable consultancy that works with cities around the world to help them develop policy, and he helped us look at things from all over the world, from Ireland, from USA, and look at best practice, and a lot of that has come together into this thing. So unsung heroes, and if they don't, in case they don't get a shout out, they've been really instrumental in making this happen. So the core of this is putting employers at the heart of policy making, bringing them in. One of the things we found when we were consulting on the growth plan was some of our employers in the fastest growing sectors, and actually some of the traditional sectors as well, some of our core sectors like the built environment in construction, were saying we just can't get the people that we need for the jobs that we've got going. I met one small business who are producing an innovative new material based in Sadiq. They're making leather out of the waste products of beer manufacturing. Trust me, coming to a handbag near you soon. Completely organic. It's totally better than any other non-leather leather you've ever seen. No animals harmed in the making of it, only beer harmed in the making of it. But they went out looking for people to work on their industrialisation. So people who've got skills in putting machinery together, which you know, 50 years ago, wouldn't have had any problem finding those people in London. Now, it took them 2 years to find the right people. Yeah? So we've got jobs out there in really exciting, cutting-edge industries where employers can't find the people that they need. We've also got people going through college courses who get to the end of the course and can't find the job that they need. So this is about linking those two things up, bringing employers in, making sure people can get the jobs that they're training for, and linking together the whole of the system across London. Very, very grateful to national government for giving us additional powers and responsibilities. So we're now involved in 1619 skills through LSIP, we're involved in the careers service, and that's given us the platform to bring together all of the agencies working on skills in the city, and this new strategy, which is really turning an oil tanker around. It's pointing in a new direction, which is let's make sure that we're putting both employers and learners at the heart of the system.
Awesome, thank you. My next question is for Lizzie. So, Lizzie, given your breadth of experience driving workforce transformation across the capital, and with the NHS being one of London's largest employers and a key part of the Anchor Institutions network, how can the health sector help model an inclusive approach to recruitment and training that others can learn from?
Thank you. Well, first thing to say is that work in itself is a health outcome. So when people are in work, you know, their health is improved. And so reducing health inequalities and supporting people into good work is a shared goal for all of us. And the NHS is on a journey of understanding local impact and building social value through employment. The inclusive talent strategy paves the way for us to go further and faster on that agenda. So I'm just going to talk about 3 quick priority areas to answer this question. They're things where we're already doing a lot of work in the NHS, but where we see this as an opportunity to do quite a lot more. So we need to recruit locally and inclusively, so proactively targeting underrepresented groups is absolutely key to that. We need to reimagine our recruitment processes in the NHS because they're notoriously difficult for people to navigate. There's a national overhauling recruitment programme in the NHS, but a lot of it needs to be done locally and at place-based level, so that's what we're working on. We need to do more to collaborate with community partners like schools, colleges, job centres, and target the growth areas that we've heard about already today, like AI and life sciences. But with those growth sectors, there's also new skills requirements, so we've got to respond to those, to that demand. We're really excited about neighbourhood working, which is something that we talk about a lot in the NHS 10-year plan, and we're doing a lot of work on in London. And we think that there's an opportunity within that neighbourhood working to create integrated employment opportunities in local communities. So that's something that is in the talent strategy that we will be working with our partners on. The second area is about how we create pathways into employment. The NHS has a really strong record on apprenticeships, but the NHS London Anchor programme is developing an inclusive apprenticeship strategy because we need to build on the equity within the apprenticeship programme. Over 75% of hospitals in London are offering supported internship programmes, which is great. And we're really excited that North East London and South East London health and care systems are widening access demonstrator pilots, which means that they've got government funding, each to support 1,000 young people into work in health and care. And lastly, we need to make our workplaces more inclusive, first and foremost by addressing all forms of discrimination that exist in health and care. We need to support flexible working because people coming into the jobs market expect hybrid working and flexible working, and that's challenging for us in health and care, but it's an expectation that we're working to meet. We do offer great training and development. We need to do more of that, and we need to work on people's digital skills and address digital exclusion. We've got 29 hospitals in London who are disability confident employers, and over 180 health and care employers are accredited living wage employers, which is amazing. And since 2021, the number of NHS hospitals accredited has risen from 8 to 25. So 80% of our hospitals in London are accredited London living wage employers. And I'd just like to say that is not the picture around England. That's because of a targeted London-wide multi-sector campaign on the living wage, which we are so proud to be a part of. So all of that is very important, and we'll continue to do it, but we need to hold ourselves to account, and we'll do that through this new infrastructure, through the talent strategy and the Get London Working strategy. We have anchor standards in the NHS, and also we have the LANE that I've talked about, the London Anchor Institution Network, who monitor progress against shared goals and priorities. So the NHS in London really welcome this focus on growth. we really support it and we commit to what the inclusive talent strategy is asking us to do.
Thanks, Lizzie. I think you made some really important points there, and I think they nicely segue onto the kind of next theme for this discussion, which is all about ensuring that Londoners are actually being connected to the right career paths and to the right opportunities and skills. And I kind of, just to mention Elevate in here, we know all too well that kind of connecting Londoners to those opportunities isn't just about having the jobs available, but actually about Londoners actually seeing their own potential, first and foremost. So actually, with that in mind, Deepa, I'd love to come to you and ask you what you think needs to change so that progression routes into good work feel clearer and more achievable for young adult learners.
Thank you. When we talk about inclusive talent, we must recognize that adult learners often face a very different set of challenges to younger students. Many are juggling work, caring responsibilities, or health issues. For them, the journey into good work can feel fragmented, unclear, and at times out of reach. So what needs to change? Firstly, we need to simplify the system. Right now, adult learners navigating a maze of disconnected services. You know, they're looking at training providers, job centres, health support, and careers advice, all operating in silos. The Mayor's Inclusive Talent Strategy proposes co-locating employment, health, and skills support in community hubs. This is vital. I mean, we know from the London Learner Survey that only 24% of out-of-work learners currently progress into employment after finishing their training. We need to bring these services together, ideally co-located in community hubs or colleges, so learners can access wraparound support that they absolutely deserve in one place. Secondly, we must make progression routes visible and transparent. That means clear maps showing how short courses, vocational training, or apprenticeship leads to specific jobs in growth sectors like green tech, health, or digital. Adult learners need to see not just the end point, but the steps they need and the whole journey, and know that it's achievable. Thirdly, we've heard that employers must be at the heart of the solution. Training should be co-designed with industry so that it leads directly to real jobs. But for adults, work placements, mentoring, interviews, guaranteed interviews, all make a huge difference in building their confidence and opening the doors that we know is a real barrier for them. Fourthly, flexibility is key. Adult learners need evening, weekend, and online provision. They need options for childcare support, financial help with travel or equipment. Now, we know with reduction in funding, the support services will be the first to be sacrificed, proving a real barrier to those who are already disadvantaged and hugely marginalized. We must recognize prior experience so that they're not starting from scratch either when they already have valuable experience. We talk about qualifications, but what about prior experience and the lived experience and life of learners? We know that there's been a huge decline in adult learning. So from 4.4 million in 2003-04 to just under 1.5 million in 2019-20. And funding has fallen by 2/3. We need to rebuild trust and relevance in the system. Finally, we need to shift the narrative. Adult learners are not just catching up. They bring resilience, life experience, and motivation. The system must reflect that by being inclusive, empowering, and genuinely learner-led. So in short, if we want progression into good work to feel clearer and more achievable, we must build a system that is joined up, transparent, employer-driven, flexible, and respectful of the lived realities of adult learners. That's how we unlock London's talent potential. Thank you.
Well-deserved round of applause. Thank you so much for those insights, Deepa. I think there's one thing to funnel talent into work, but then the conversation becomes how do you retain that talent? We recognize that tackling the barriers to retaining talent remains a clear priority and one that presents ongoing challenges, particularly in fast-paced and high-demanded sectors. Amy, from your perspective, given the growing expectations on employers, what support is needed to help them embed good work practices like fair pay, secure contracts, and inclusive workplaces into everyday practices across London?
Thank you. I've been laughing to myself. You can tell I work in the creative industries. Everyone else has beautifully typed up notes and I have scribbles on a piece of paper, so apologies. I think that point about expectations on employers is really important. Increasingly at both national and local level, employers are being asked to step into this agenda, and obviously we should be stepping into this agenda, it's vital, but we mustn't forget that London as a whole is predominantly made up of small and micro businesses, but actually speaking specifically for my sector, the creative industries is even higher. About 97% of the creative industries in London are micro businesses. And additionally, we have the second highest level of self-employment outside of construction being the highest level of self-employment. And that makes engagement in this more challenging for very micro businesses. And so I think what's really important about the inclusive talent strategy is the word that's been used many, many, many times this morning, and that's collaboration. The sector boards are going to be absolutely vital to making this work and to bringing those small and micro businesses into this agenda and having them be part of the good work standard. There's also the issue of when you've got an industry like ours that is predominantly made up of micro businesses, we become very opaque. We become opaque to training providers, we become opaque to learners, and we become hard to access. And so having a single point through the GLA that we can all work together and we can all discuss our various needs, our various interventions, will be really transformative, I think, for sectors like ours that have been very traditionally hard to access for multiple stakeholders. From an employer perspective, all of the solutions that we discuss in the sector board really to ensure that we're implementing fair pay, equal access, all of those things, all of the solutions need to have three main things for me. They need to be practical. They need to be things that employers, even on a micro scale, feel they can implement. If you're the CEO of a micro business, you are also the HR director, the finance director, the marketing director. You need practical solutions that aren't going to be a big lift for you to implement. They need to make financial sense. So I think what they've done here on the park in terms of making it in order to do business here, you have to pay the London living wage. I think things like that are really transformative for micro business. You know, if you want to win that business, there are certain expectations that are placed on you. So it has to financially make sense for you. And it has to be a collaborative effort. Micro businesses and large businesses need to work together, but we also need to work cross-sector. Lizzie spoke about work as a health outcome, and actually the creative industries have a huge amount to offer there in terms of social prescribing. There is a lot of evidence that creativity is really transformational for people's health and people's ability to get back into work.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I can resonate with a lot of what you're saying, being the founder of an early stage startup myself. So yeah, thank you. My next question goes out to Alison. You work closely with many partners and leaders right across London's 32 boroughs. I'd like to ask, the strategy highlights how access to affordable and good quality housing, childcare and transport are fundamental to a thriving and inclusive labour market in London. How do we ensure that these place-based barriers are considered core to workforce and skills planning rather than treated as separate policy issues?
Great, thank you. And what an important question. And I think this question is why it's a talent strategy and not just a skills strategy. And that's a real step forward for us as a city, because it's bringing together not just recognising that housing, childcare and transport are really important social issues, but they form part of that infrastructure that we need for a really thriving labour market here in London. And when we don't have access to those things, it makes it really hard for Londoners to secure employment and the training they need to get on in work. It also makes it less attractive for businesses to invest here and come here. So we need to tackle all three issues. So let's take housing as the first example. You will all know this, but I am going to repeat it because it's really important to recognise that once you take housing costs into account, in London, we have the highest rate of poverty in the country. And, you know, you heard Sadiq talk about that earlier, that we are in risk of becoming a city of two halves, and we don't want that. And that's what this inclusive talent strategy is trying to address. So at the moment, 1 in 4 households live in poverty because of those housing costs. And we need the training, the skills, all the initiatives that we want to take forward in the talent strategy to help Londoners get out of that. But they won't be able to if we can't build homes of the future that are affordable and secure. We also know that the housing costs at the moment, Londoners pay about 27% of their wage or their income on household rent or mortgages, whereas the rest of the country on average only pay 17% of their income on rent and mortgages. That means if you're in benefit and want to get on, it's really risky to go into low-paid work. You don't know whether it's going to work out or not. And if you're thinking about your family and your security, the way the system is working at the moment just isn't working for Londoners. So building more homes has got to be at the heart of tackling some of that. And that also then has a benefit for our skills and jobs in the capital too. So I'm sure, and one of the great initiatives that we've set out in the Inclusive Talent Strategy is around sector boards, the sector talent boards, as Amy was talking about, putting employers in the driving seat of the skills that we need to thrive as a city. And so I'm sure that the sector board for construction will be working with all those working on our housing mission to make sure we've got the skills and that Londoners can benefit from the housing growth we know we need to see. So that's housing. No one part of our sector is going to be able to solve that, but we do have to come together to try and do that. Then transport. Many people, and we talked about it today, again, Sadiq mentioned, you know, the Great Elizabeth Line, the links here to West London, thank goodness for it. Often people looking in, we do benefit from our vast, brilliant transport connections and being able to keep fares at a particular rate. But it's not like that for everyone in London, and not all parts of London are as well connected as others, especially when people are trying to get, it's probably quite easy to get into the centre of London, but it's not that easy to get from borough to borough, where your FE college might be, where your job might be, where your childcare might be, that I'll talk about in a moment. So the orbital connections around London, how our outer London boroughs are better connected with each other, connecting communities and businesses, is really important. And that's why the boroughs, with the mayor, with businesses, are really targeting our efforts on 3 major transport projects. Hopefully all of you know what they are, but I will repeat them so that we keep that lobbying up. We really want to see that DLR extension to Thamesmead. We really want the West London orbital to come to life and see the Bakerloo line extension. And once again, not only will this make sure that communities that are disconnected at the moment will be connected, but it will bring jobs and homes. And so we create that virtuous circle of giving the opportunities in London, aligning our work in the Inclusive Talent Strategy to make sure Londoners have the skills so they can participate in the opportunities and growth that investment in infrastructure brings. And then finally, childcare. Childcare needs to be affordable, accessible, and we need more of it. Parents face real challenges about staying in work if they can't get affordable childcare. At the moment, if you've got a child who's under 2, you'll be on average paying £8 an hour for childcare. But there is disparity across London on that too. In some places, 5 boroughs, it's as much as £10 an hour. So these high costs become a real direct barrier to employment and getting also the chance to upskill whilst you're in work. So we need to think about how can we expand our childcare provision across the capital, both from public sector but also private sector. How are we thinking about building childcare into the growth that we're going to see, into the regeneration, into the infrastructure I just talked about? And the great thing about expanding childcare, not only does it help families get into better work or have time to do the training they need to upskill, it also helps our community well-being and provides additional economic participation and jobs for those that are probably furthest from the job market. So again, tackling all of these, what can be perceived as social issues, also have a really important economic driver and make sure our communities can thrive.
Thank you so much for all your insights thus far. So now we're going to move on to a series of questions that are open to the whole panel. But I will start with you, Howard. The kind of themes that we'll be focusing on are touching on what's already been mentioned, but actually I think kind of the two emerging themes that seem to have been mentioned kind of by all of you in some way, shape or form is collective action, collaboration, and that connectivity, whether that's transport connectivity or linking employers to and Londoners to jobs, skills, all of that kind of thing. So the first question for Howard is the strategy calls for breaking down those silos between skills, employment and health, and recognises that access to housing, childcare and transport is essential to a thriving system. So what does a more joined up person-centred system look like in practice, and how can different partners help make that happen?
Okay, well, we're actually publishing two documents today. One is the Inclusive Talent Strategy, and the second is our Get London Working Plan, which is our response to National Government's Get Britain Working Plan, and that's really looking at breaking down the barriers for people who are either out of employment or underemployed, and that's a really important sector for London, because there's lots of people who aren't really reaching where their talent could take them, and particularly with adult skills, that's about offering people the opportunity to train up either within the career they're working in or even to change to a new career, a new sector. Because some of those very high-level jobs, it's going to be people who are already in work that are going to be training up to access them. So you talked about collaboration and partnership. This is absolutely crucial, to have everybody working together with a common agenda, which is why the strategy is so good, because everybody's bought into it, everybody's had an opportunity to have their say and to bring their own experience to the table. And we're building on lots of really good work. We're not starting from scratch here. There's lots of amazing work going on. I want to do a shout out here to the college community in the audience. I think I can call it college community. The college leaders in the audience, because there's some great work going on at, to be honest, with a limited budget. They don't have enough money. We'd like to get more money. We'd like FE lecturers to be paid more. We'd like to find ways in which we can bring people who are perhaps in employment back into the classroom to share their experience, because it's actually one of the problems we've got in construction is you can actually earn more on site than you can teaching in a course. So to get people doing a bit of teaching, a bit of work on site, as well as getting that work experience for the people going through the courses. That sort of collaboration, breaking down some of the barriers, bringing people together is at the core of what we're trying to do, because that way we'll deliver the common mission we're all aiming for. I want to say one quick thing about the sectors. Our first three sectors that we're concentrating on with the sector skills boards and with the hubs are built environment, health and life sciences, and the creative sector. And then we'll bring in the other growth plan target sectors later. So we're starting with three. And those three, it's just amazing to me, since I've been in this role, how much London has changed. So, built environment sector, actually our biggest sector in terms of value and employment. And it's something that a lot of young people, a lot of people generally in London don't necessarily see. So you walk past the building site and you don't think, oh, there's 2,000 people working there. There's jobs there from architecture to environmental consultancy, to engineering, to design, to driving the machinery, to plumbing, electrical, the green skills. You know, there's a huge amount of different types of employment. I spent 20 years in the built environment sector. Never got my boots dirty, to be honest. I was working in office all that time. Never carried any bricks, never did any estate agency. Maybe a little bit of estate agency. But people, I don't think realise just what a big sector that is for our city. And even though there's not an enormous amount of house building going on, I was in the city of London the other day, cranes everywhere, loads and loads of construction going on, lots of employment in that sector, and that's only going to grow. Creative sector, that's 1 in 5 of our jobs now. So if you compare that to where we were 60 years ago, the creative sector now employs sort of the same number of people that the manufacturing sector used to employ. So when people used to talk about, you know, the car factories and the other big factories in East London, that has now been pretty much replaced in employment terms by the creative industries. We are Hollywood, basically. And you know we are because a president of another country who I won't name got very annoyed about the number of movies being made outside of the USA. Oh, give it away now.
It's okay.
No criticism implied, Donald. But he got very annoyed. He was like, "Oh, we should stop a big tariff on it." And when he said we should stop a tariff on foreign movies, he specifically meant London, because you know Marvel, Star Wars, Paddington, you know Harry Potter. These are all made in London now, and you can tell because, like Mission Impossible, when Tom Cruise started that, all his mates were American. Now they're nearly all Brits on his team. Some of them putting on American accents, which thanks RADA, thanks Lambda. We're very good at American accents. But genuinely, we are now the number 3 place in the world for film and TV production. We're the biggest centre for games production outside of California. So we're number 3 in the world for games production. We're number 1 for theatre. Now, so better than ahead of Broadway. You know, it's a huge sector with real jobs and the whole of the SME sector that supports that. And health and life science is probably our biggest growing sector. We're rapidly becoming the number 1 life science cluster in the UK, ahead of Oxford and Cambridge, and then part of that Golden Triangle. And then the health side, we're the only city in the world with 5 university and teaching hospital combinations. The only city in the world. So, you know, that is really, really flying. And these industries that are growing rapidly are looking for staff at all levels, from entry level to technical skills through to graduates. And those are, you know, this isn't this is a niche that at some point is going to throw off some jobs. These are big industries with big numbers of employment and growing very rapidly. So those sectors we're going to focus on. And it's not just about, you know, the employers working with the courses. It's about getting out and telling people what opportunities are available too.
Thank you for that. Actually, I think, Lizzie, it would be really good to bring you in here just in terms of the health aspect of it. You have mentioned health and that kind of, I think it's an obvious one, but sometimes people don't connect health to jobs, training, and something like an inclusive talent strategy, not always. So yeah, I'd love to hear your reflections on the question.
Could you just remind me what the question was?
Yes, of course. So, and I also remember you in the video kind of saying that we can't do it alone, so it's all about that. So the strategy calls for breaking down silos between skills, employment and health, and recognises that access to housing, childcare and transport is essential to a thriving system. What does a more joined up person-centred system look like in practice, and how can different partners help make that happen?
Yeah, so we're talking about collaboration, and actually the NHS is enormous. We employ 250,000 people in London, which makes us one of the biggest employers in the city. But what I would say is we learnt a lot in the COVID-19 pandemic, because before that, because we're so big, I'm sure lots of people who've tried to work with the NHS will recognise what I'm saying, that we sort of felt we could do everything by ourselves. We kind of thought we don't really need to work in partnership. We can train people, we can employ people, we can deliver services. We've got this enormous infrastructure to do it. But actually, when we tried to get through the COVID-19 pandemic in London, we realised we absolutely couldn't do it by ourselves. We needed to work with partners and communities in order to be able to meet the needs of Londoners. It was a really big turning point for us. And I think since then, there were, of course, collaborations and partnerships before that, but it was definitely a step change in our relationships with London councils, with local authorities, with the GLA, where perhaps previously we'd slightly struggled to find what that joint purpose was, and suddenly it was brought into very sharp focus. Our joint purpose is to support communities to be healthy, and we can't do that unless we do it together. So I would say that employment maps very well across that in terms of we think that we're making opportunities available in the NHS because we've got a dreadful website called NHS Jobs, in case anybody's ever looked at it, that you would, unless you'd worked at the NHS for 5 years, I don't think you could find anything on there. How does somebody who's disadvantaged in a local community, who thinks that they could have a career in health and care, but has absolutely no idea? You know, the way that we get through that is through working with FE colleges, working with schools, working with local authorities, working with job centres, and we've learned that now. But what this gives us is a great opportunity to really start to scale that, you know, embed it much more deeply, and recognise, and one of the points actually is sometimes people know that they could be great in healthcare, but actually there's a whole load of pre-employment support that they need, where the NHS previously would have said, well, you're not ready, so, you know, whereas now we'll say, okay, you're not quite ready, how do we work with these partners to get you there, because we want you, you could be great, you have a great future with us. And I think we've really learned and been to be more humble, to realise that it doesn't matter how big you are as an organisation, there are things you don't have, there are skills you don't have, there are, you know, places you can't reach. So that's been really a fantastic journey for us, and we're really excited about what the next 3 or 4 years look like.
Thank you. I think you've touched on, you've kind of brought back up the idea of equity and kind of the barriers that some people face. And so I'd like to bring you in here deep on a different question, actually. And kind of it's clear that London's success depends on people being able to stay and build their lives here. So what do you see as the biggest challenges to retaining talent in London's workforce, and how can the skills system help address them?
Okay, so in terms of, firstly, we need to attract them. You know, we need to attract them into the skill system, so we need to have courses or opportunities that are relevant for them, that will enable them to progress on. I just want to give one example, if I've got the time, and apologies to colleagues who've already heard this before, but we had a learner come to us, 90 years old, and wanted to learn singing with us, and we're talking about the creative sector. And we said, yes, he can enroll in our singing classes, but whilst we were talking to him, we realized that he joined the army at the age of 18, when he was told he had applied to the Royal School of Ballet, but he was told he's too old to learn dancing at the age of 18. So he joined the army. He was in the army for about 30 years, left the army, trained to become a priest. He's still a priest at a church in Fulham. And he then pursued his love of dancing, accessed dancing courses at the local FE college, and now he prides himself as being the geriatric dancer in West End, because he's the only one who, you know, if they need an old dancer, they go to him. And he's learning singing with us. So that's not a typical learner. Or actually, maybe that is a typical learner, you know, who's actually replicated across all the FE colleges and the adult provision across the country. So I think we can retain them as long as we make it relevant for them, as long as we listen to them and we don't put barriers in the way, like you're too old, or actually you can't pay, or, you know, we've only got a class at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so, you know, you've got to work out your childcare responsibilities. So I think we're doing a good job at getting them in, and we're doing a good job at retaining them, but it's just making it relevant for them because it's meeting their needs at a time that those needs have to be met.
Thank you for that. And I think this is a nice place to bring you in, Amy, actually, as an employer within the creative kind of sector. So same question, what do you see as the biggest challenges to retaining talent in London's workforce, and how can the skills system help address this?
So I think obviously a lot of the biggest challenges to retaining people in the workforce in London have actually already been discussed by Ali in terms of the cost of housing, the cost of transport, those kind of things. So I think they are by far the biggest factors actually. But in terms of skills, I've spoken already about if you are a micro and small business, then actually having the ability to facilitate upskilling CPD for your own staff is really difficult because you are not a natural trainer necessarily just because you're the CEO of a micro business. And so knowing where to send people, you know, what is the right provision for my staff to be accessing? What is the provision that makes sense for where they're located, how our job works, what can I afford to send them on. All of these are factors when you're a business in terms of actually enabling your staff to keep developing themselves. And I think the recent white paper from government obviously now plays into that with the lifelong learning entitlement. I think that will be really helpful to businesses in being able to provide continuous learning for their teams. But I also think that, again, this increased collaboration and joined up approach in London between training providers and employers and trying to match our needs together will help. And I think it has the ability to help in reverse as well. It was mentioned earlier about the fact that FE struggles to retain staff as well. That FE struggles, particularly in sectors like in visual effects, where we are rapidly moving with technology, to keep their staff up to date with what's happening. I think it can be, again, a collaborative approach where employers can benefit from closer working with FE, but FE can also benefit from working more closely with employers as well.
Thank you. And Howard, just coming back to you, just kind of, do you have any final reflections on the kind of things that have been said thus far?
Yeah, I mean, I would say this is a joint effort. Everybody in this room has been invited because you've got a part to play in delivering the strategy. And we sometimes, in the public sector, fall into the trap of thinking, we've published this strategy, so we've done it. But we are not falling into that trap. The strategy is the map for where we're going to go, but now it's about delivering it. So everybody here has got a role to play in helping us to deliver this and making sure we realise the ambitions for our city and, most importantly, for the people in our city. When we're very consciously using the word inclusive because we want to make sure that as we grow, as those sectors develop in our city, as the city puts on those 150,000 extra jobs, we grow the economy up by 20%, that is reaching to every part of our community. So help us by breaking down the barriers, coming with us, read the thing, have a look where you can take part, and together, I think we've got a really good team in place to make it happen, but we'll need everybody's help to deliver it.
Thank you.
So our time together is fast coming to a close, but I do have one last question. So finally, if we were sitting here in a year's time, what would success look like to you? What early signs would show that the inclusive talent strategy is making a real difference for Londoners and employers alike? And I'll start with Amy at the end and then finish with Howard.
Okay. So for me, it would be, I have joked with quite a few people this morning about the fact that whenever there's a need for creative industries on a panel, I get wheeled out. And I keep saying to myself, I know that there are lots of other people who work in the creative industries. So for me, success would be that there would be multiple micro businesses in the creative industries in this room, and one of them sitting up here on this panel a year from now because they've been engaged in this agenda and they feel that they have a stake in this agenda.
I think for me it'll be making employment accessible to adults who face all those barriers, you know, be it language, be it childcare, be it the marginalised or, you know, the intersectionality. So employers providing the opportunities for learners to, adults to go into good work. Yeah.
I think for me, because we're so excited about neighbourhood healthcare and care out of hospitals, that the idea that people could get an employment offer as part of an integrated healthcare intervention in their local community would be a sign of a great success from our perspective.
I think seeing Londoners being able to progress in work, so, you know, really reflecting what some of the panel have said, it's not just about entry-level skills, but it is that progression so that people can fulfill their potential, that the career pathways are a little bit more understandable than they are today. And we all know that we have created some very complicated systems together, or sometimes in competition with each other, if we're honest in this room. And we're all going to need to leave our egos at the door if this talent strategy is really going to take off. So I would hope, as Amy has said, that there's that we could fill the room double, 3 times because we've built a coalition to really put talent at the heart of our city.
Yeah, we've got some very clear actions, so I'm hoping that by this time in the year we'll have delivered on our actions, setting up the boards, breaking down the barriers and getting learners into a system where they can see a clear route through from where they start, wherever that is, through to getting a good, long-term, well-paid, decent job.
Thank you. All right. So I would like to finally say a big thank you to our amazing panelists for their candor and expertise, and to all of you for your engagement. As we move forward, let's continue to have the conversation and turn today's discussion into meaningful action. So yeah, let's see what happens in 2026. I'll see you all then.
And thanks to our brilliant moderators, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. So let me say a big thank you to the panel. That was a really rich discussion, and also to Lola and Emmanuel, who I always feel very proud when our young people from Elevate are up here speaking, because they do it so eloquently. But I did want to just pick up on a couple of points, particularly that Ali and Howard were saying. Ali's point about leave your ego at the door. I think that's a really important point, because we've been thinking here about, on this park, on the Queen Elizabeth Park, about collaboration, and the point that Howard made about the strategy doesn't end at the strategy. Actually, it's about the action that we all take. And we're trying to think very deeply about what does collaboration really mean, and what does that mean for growing the economy and for London, as we play a part in that, but also what does that mean for inclusion? So how do we bring that together using the richness that we have here from the research and the 8 universities and the cultural quarter and the institutions, and working with the innovation spaces like here East and Plexel. So we're trying to create an ecosystem that enables that to happen, and we are recognising that if we want people to have to live in a good place, they need to have good jobs, and in order to have good jobs, we need to make sure that they're well, so that foundation of well-being. So actually all the things that the panellists are talking today about are the things that we are absolutely trying to deliver. So I would encourage everybody to make sure that we're taking those actions. Look, so I'm going to conclude now, really, but I wanted to do a special thank you to Plexel for generously hosting us here today, and of course to all of you for joining us. It doesn't end here, though. Before we close, I wanted to remind you that there are some light refreshments, drinks and a little bit of food, so please stay and talk to each other, hopefully build more partnerships, more relationships. But we also have 3 fringe events that are taking place in the park, beginning at 12:30. Most of you have already signed up for those. If you haven't, you still have time, and there are staff that you can speak to here. You can do that. There are some meeting points that I just need to highlight. So the meeting place for the Creative Industry panel at the Good Growth Hub will be just outside the building by the entrance. The meeting place for the East Bank at Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park Tour is in the lobby of this building, and the meeting place for the Green Skills construction session at Build East is also in the lobby of this building. So please do join them. I think they're just tasters of things that we've been developing, but also things that might give some opportunities and thoughts to others as well. Finally, thank you once again for being here with us today and for your continued commitment to shaping a more inclusive, dynamic and opportunity-rich London for everyone. So thank you very much.